I'm a nurse and I don't remember getting a say in this decision. Disgusting. Well, that's because we're not in the union. Yeah. That's the problem with the nursing unions, especially, and I'm not blaming the members, of course, but they don't realize that all of the lobbyists that these people have, first of all, aren't even nurses. So they're just using the members. They're getting money out of you. They're using you. They're going to make these promises to you. And yeah, in California, they got those nursing ratios they want. But look at California. So, I mean, there's benefits to the union, but when they're in lobbying and that they're tied to all the politicians, then you and I don't get a say, right? I mean, because we're not in that union. And they would say, well, then you should be in a union. No, because then you're a controlled robot based on what the union tells you to do. Like, they'll try to give the nurses what they want, but ultimately the people at the top of National Nurses United, American Nurses Association, they know that their agenda is a political one. They're not about care. They're not about health. They use health. They use care to say, this is why we must do this. It's like that quote I put up of Reagan to that video about National Nurses United, how he said that medicine is used to help, have a reason to bring in socialism. That's what they're doing. And yet, everybody loves unions. Yeah, I can't stand the nursing unions. I knew they would. When I saw that they were nurses that were willing to push back against that Trump was being horrible at the border. No, Trump was controlling the border so that there wasn't trafficking going on. Any nurse, in my opinion, you should support that. It's not healthy to have an open border. It leads to more disease. And here's the thing. I had to do a training. I was at a travel assignment like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was a freestanding psych hospital. I had to do all this extra, everybody had to do all this extra training in HIV. I'm like, what is this? Like, we've had training in HIV. It's been around, since the 80s. So, but we had to do it was like three different modules of continuing education. And I thought, no, they think they're expecting something. Like, I think it's because of all these immigrants coming in, these gangbangers and stuff. I mean, many of them coming from countries where, HIV is very prevalent. That's what I think it is. And I think these freestanding psych facilities will end up being used for many of these gangbangers. And so then that will lead to more people getting hurt because they go out of their way. There's nobody that stays. At your main hospitals, yeah, it may still be stable, but again, all of them have lost the care component to healthcare because all of the people in leadership, whether it's the hospital leadership at the top, the administration, or it's these unions, American Nurses Association, they all are a disgrace. It's why we have such a leadership problem. If we had people that know how to do the right thing, then what you would do is you would have more nurses in leadership positions willing to, no, fire me if you want, but I won't go lying to my staff and force them to take extra patients when they already have a high acuity and they barely can manage. Everybody leaves because it's so stressful where I work. But I was working with a nurse last night who said, I'd like to become like one of these chief nursing officers or in these roles. And she said, I said, you would just have to do what corporate says. So what would be your answer? She's like, well, I wouldn't do it. She's like, I'd let them fire me. I said, well, if every nurse did that, that's at leadership. If every person in a chief nursing officer or any kind of role in that administration level would do that, then, yeah, maybe the hospital will fire you likely, but you can go after, you go after them because there should be safety standards here. We're a hospital treating patients. That's what they're there for. They're not even getting therapeutic value. They're not, and they know it. So they're billing for this stuff, and it's totally fraudulent. But like the hospital I work for like a couple decades, they've always gotten away with it because they have billions of dollars. So people have gotten killed or hung themselves in their hospitals. This is across the United States. There's a ton of them. So they have a continual problem, and yet they know what they need to do to fix it, and they don't. Instead, they know their nurses are leaving, and yet leadership wants to come up with stupid ways of, well, how can we retain nurses, and what are the problems? Well, if you're in leadership and you don't know what the problems are, then you suck as a leader. You do. But like the chief nursing officer where I'm at, she's below the social worker executive. That executive just calls and tells us we're taking people, and it's like, no, come and say that to my face so that I can tell you how you shouldn't even have a license because you can't do the right thing. You can't do the right thing on some basics here. But my chief nursing officer, like that's above my manager, she comes from the state level nursing association. All the nursing associations at the state level are tied to American Nurses Association. So of course that's who they get in. And yet she calls and plays the same games. It's like, and all I want to say, I mean, I've never gotten on the phone with any of them. They usually just tell my direct supervisor, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking 15, 16 patients. Absolutely not. I will walk out the door and you can tell them I said that. And if they want to talk to me, I'd be more than happy to, so that I can tell them that they should not be in leadership because you're a nurse and you don't know how to do the basic safety things here. But they sell out. So that's what this nurse who I was working with last night was saying, is that, you know, she's like, well, yeah, that's what I would do, is let him fire me. I'm like, yeah, if everybody did that, then the hospitals would have to change their ways. What none of these leaderships realize is these CEOs will throw all of them under the bus in a heartbeat because they're such deadbeats. I've said forever the hospital CEOs are so bad, because then that's who will end up holding, you know, the bag of all this. Because when you people have had their teeth knocked out in your facility, and people have been punched and hit and hurt to the point where they have injuries, and on an ongoing basis, and then you say you need to take more patients even though you don't have more staff, then that's a place that should be shut down, in all honesty. But they won't, because it's the Biden government, and the state level is just as corrupt. So, and that's why they don't want Trump in, because I think Trump will do something about it. I think a lot of this stuff, that what they don't realize, especially with the AI, I think that even though I can't stand the AI stuff, I can't stand the police state we live under, but at the same time, that works against them. So where I work, there's cameras everywhere. I mean, there's not any place, I wouldn't even be surprised if they have them hidden in the bathrooms. They're so obsessed with the cameras everywhere. And I've gotten to the point where it's like, oh, they want me to stop. They want me to not get report at change of shift to go do go do a nurse to nurse like that. You can at least give nurses 20, 30 minutes, or to pass meds. They want me to stop doing that. Everything they do is unsafe. Everything. It's like they deliberately are trying to get people hurt and things messed up. But I'll look at like the camera and be like, yeah, I'm not calling right now, just so you know. I just don't care. I'm just like, I mean, I'll glare up at that damn camera all the time because they always say that they're watching you. They tell you they are. It's like sick. They sit at home and watch you on cameras, some of these chief nursing officers and these executives, and then call, and you know, call somebody, and the next thing you know, you got intake calling you. But it's sick. And plus, why is it that the executives and the administrators can get away with HIPAA violations? Because that's a HIPAA violation. If you have your family at home, your kids, your husband, whatever, and you're sitting on the computer, oh yeah, I'm just watching The Office, and they're seeing patients, then they're seeing patients in the hospital. That's a HIPAA violation. But I'm sure there's some way the executives are able to get around that. But they all need to be held accountable, because they think it's okay to just disregard safety. And that has been going on for a long time, and now it's at the worst I've ever seen. So something needs to be done. And I just think that since AI can hack into everything, that these cameras that are monitoring everything, well, it's also monitoring them. And I think that is where the backdraft will come back on all of them. I do. Because even though they think, oh no, we're monitoring you, well, I think somebody's monitoring them. I mean, again, we're in the computer age for a while now. AI can hack into many systems and see what those people are doing, the executives that are the problem.